of ourselves and from the evil consequence of our evil actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, there is none to misguide, and whomsoever Allah leaves to go astray, there is none to guide. And I testify that Allah alone is worthy of worship, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the servant of Allah and His final messenger. After that, the best speech is the book of Allah, and the best way is the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the worst of all the affairs are those matters that have been newly introduced in the religion. And every matter that is newly introduced into the religion of Islam is a bid'ah or an innovation. And all of these religious innovations are misguidance. All misguidance is going astray, and all going astray is in the fire. Every nation is characterized, at least partially, by its customs, its morals, its manners. In England, we have a set of manners, we call them etiquettes, rules of behavior. And it's very interesting that when you study the history of etiquettes, and you study the etiquettes in England, you find in fact that the whole system has been devised in order to make a division between people. It's been devised to make a division between people. It's been devised to make a division between the upper classes and the lower classes. So the upper classes, they invent the etiquettes. For example, how you should hold your knife and fork. How you should talk, the words you should say, the type of clothes that you should wear. The upper classes, they invent these etiquettes. And so the people in the middle classes, the middle upper classes, they want to imitate the higher class people. They want to emulate them. So they try to copy their etiquettes. But of course what the upper class do is they change the rules every now and then to catch out those people who are trying to imitate them, and thus they are able to make them a laughing stock and reinforce this division between the classes. So, actually the manners of, at least we could say, in England, the rules and etiquettes actually cause division and distance one group of people from another. Well, we Muslims have also our etiquettes. We also have manners that have been instituted for us by the Prophet ﷺ. And of course, this knowledge was given to the Prophet ﷺ by Allah. But the beautiful thing, when you look at our manners, when you look at our customs, you find that they have actually been designed to bring people together. Actually to break down the barriers, the artificial barriers of class, of wealth, of colour. And they have been made in a way to actually bring us close together. So when the Prophet ﷺ, for example, was on one particular expedition, and the companions, they were camping. One group over here, one group over there, so they spread out all over the valley. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw this, he said to them, your spreading out is from shaitan. Your spreading out is from shaitan. And after that, whenever they used to sit together, when they used to sit in a gathering, or whenever they used to, be in a place, they would come together very closely. In fact, it said that you could spread a cloth on top of their heads and it would have stayed off the ground. Because there is a connection between what you display outwardly and how you are inwardly. If we are close together physically, and we sit together, this reinforces physically the condition that should be inside ourselves internally. The condition of unity, the condition of being close together, the condition of feeling close to one another. This is a very important aspect of our religion. The Muslims are one ummah. We are like one body. If one part of this body feels pain, then the whole of the body is restless and cannot sleep. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us in the Quran, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that verily the believers are brothers. We are a brotherhood. We are a family. This should be the reality of this ummah. Even the word ummah comes from the Arabic word for mother. But what is the condition that we find this ummah in? Do we find ourselves like one body? In fact, we find ourselves very disunited. We find ourselves very fragmented in many different ways. Of course, the most fundamental fragmentation is even in the most essential of all matters, and that is the aqidah, the belief of the Muslim. In fact, you would imagine that this would be one thing where a Muslim could never be disunited. How could we have variance upon such an essential and important matter? Yet you find on even this essential, most essential and important matter, we are at variance. And the differences between us go on and on. We find when the Prophet ﷺ, he is teaching the Muslims how to stand in the salah. Look at our salah. Look at this prayer. How we stand in rows. Shoulder to shoulder. Feet to feet. Straighten the lines so Allah will straighten your hearts. Again, the connection between what is outward and what is inside. Close the gaps so the shaitan does not come between you. Again, being close together is a means of preventing shaitan from overcoming us. And this is the emphasis the Prophet ﷺ gave to the salah in jama'ah. If there are 3 of you living in a valley and you don't meet together to establish the prayer, meaning you establish the prayer together in jama'ah, if you do not do that, shaitan has got hold of you. Meaning, in being divided, in not meeting, in not coming together, is the means for shaitan to divide you. Again, physical proximity, the actual physical outward appearance of coming together has a connection to what is inside ourselves. And so we find this month of Ramadan has come. This blessed month. This sacred month. And we find ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for all of those who are here, we have really been blessed by Allah that He has allowed us the opportunity to experience and to reap the benefits of this month of Ramadan. But really what is going to concern me today, that I want to talk about today, is how many of us really understand what Ramadan is about, and how many of us, if we fail to understand what Ramadan is really about, how can we possibly take advantage of it? Because one of the things that I have noticed in my 20 years as a Muslim, and I'm sure you all have noticed this as well, amongst many different